Welcome to our weekly new global media talk show. Today is September 15, 2024. Today we're gonna be discussing about digital revenue collection, and we're gonna look into area council and other revenue collectors around the country, Gambia. So I have my co-host here, Sam Ceesay. Sam, welcome.
Thank you.
Very good, very good. I'm your host here, Sawaneh in New York. Yeah, Sam, so let's go right into this. The issue that our country face when it comes to revenue is how to collect it. I mean, I'm pretty sure if the right taxes are enforced and the revenues are collected the way they needed to be, we
Yep.
definitely would be where we will, and they were actually put into good use, would be where we need to be as a nation. But I think we are having issues with that. Um, we we would like to have GRA representatives in this show,
Yep.
but today, because of the time, space, we couldn't get that done. However, we're just going to look at several revenue collectors and see how we can make how that process could be more effective, transparent, and it's more it could be accountable for. So what are your thoughts on this end? So
Yep. So yeah, in my mind, when we say digital revenue collection or digitalization of collecting revenue, in my mind, I know that you published that article for what the GRA is doing, getting into an agreement back in February, an agreement that with a Swiss company called SIGPA or something, which also generated 48 million this year compared to 6 million last year. That's very, very important. And of course, I can't talk about GRA. And GRA, from what I'm seeing, are doing a very good job. Producing numbers that are very good for our country, good for our economy. The question is that all? Is that can they optimize and go even higher? And I think so. I think the answer is yes. They can do even better. So GRA has really been doing a very good job. They've been doing a fantastic job based on what is being put out to the people. So going from GRA to regular or local area councils is kind of like my way of thinking. If GRA is collecting those millions and even millions of funds for a country, I think about the local area councils. I know some of them are struggling, and part of the reason they're struggling, I don't think that local area councils should struggle, but part of the reason they're struggling, for example, Brikama Area Council. I heard the chairman Yankuba was talking a little bit about their struggle there and why they're struggling and things like that. When I look at that, is part of the reason they're struggling is corruption that they inherited in there. If you look at Brikama Area Council, is the largest really the largest area that can do a good job for our country, and a lot for that area. So I think that because of corruption is really holding them behind, and I think it's very important to go digital by making sure that area councilors and the local collectors are collecting revenue based on what is out there and based on true facts. And from what I heard and what I understand, and based on what the chairman is saying, there's a lot of corruption in it. He inherited a lot of corrupted people in their corrupt practices. They're giving themselves syllables. They're doing all kinds of things in there that are inappropriate or unauthorized, in other words. Enriching themselves in there. Those people were enriching themselves there and letting the poor suffer, letting the public suffer, instead of bringing all the funds and help make people's lives better. That's part of their job. Help make people's lives better. In a couple of years ago, actually, I released some WhatsApp audios when we were talking about area councilors and things that they can do to collect revenue for a country. I suggested going digital because here's the reason. I don't understand, I really don't understand why we are still having area council revenue collectors going door to door to collect funds from people and holding that. And when they collect, I'll give you a perfect example. We all know what happened in Gambia, right? If they collect, let's say if they collect 100,000 in a day, guess what? If 50,000 makes it to the bank for the area council, we'll be grateful. If we get half of that, we'll be grateful. Someone can collect 100,000 and declare that they only collected 10,000.
Yeah, exactly. What is the proof? Yeah, what is the proof?
Yeah, what's the proof? And who knows? Who is holding them accountable? What's the proof? And they're using these paper tickets that they issue to people to collect revenue. Well, they're going to duplicate those tickets, or they're making their own tickets and go around with those tickets. Very similar, very identical. And when they go in a day, if they issue, let's say 200 tickets out in a day for 200 shop owners, guess what? Maybe 100 of that will be their own tickets that they produce, the fake tickets that they're giving out. So that those 100 tickets will be going into their own pockets.
Right.
So we don't have a real way of accounting for this. I think they need to restructure. And as part of the restructuring, one, they need to really account for they need to go around themselves. They need to go around and check and account for every single business that's out there in every village, town, or city. Account for all of them. Once they have that record, now this is how many we will be shops or businesses that we will be going to and getting revenue from. I think we can even go digital. They can get them to really pay their taxes in a day. If they are going to each one of these, and let's say each day, every one of them is paying $100. All right, they can take that and have them pay on a monthly basis. In the whole month, nobody comes knock on your door to collect revenue, but by the end of the month, we expect you to pay your $100 times the 30 days in a month. I'm just giving an example. That 30 days in a month. And go pay it in the bank and produce the receipt here. Or if you want, they make it available for people to be able to, nearby people that are near to their office, to come directly to their office and pay there rather than going to a bank. But most people that are away from their office should be able to go pay at the bank and produce a receipt. And they need to be able to reconcile those bank transactions with the amount of collections that happen. And so that at the end of the month, they can see what shop number one, from shop number 1 to shop number 700, who paid and who hasn't paid. They need to be able to reconcile those on a monthly basis rather than having people go collect. Because if they put the burden on the shopkeepers to go pay themselves, if not, we will lock your shop after 5 days of non-payment, or 5 days into the next month. I'm just giving an example. It could be 10 days, could be 15 days. Well, they can make that, or they can say, if you get to 2 months without paying, we will lock your shop, and things like that. If they put some things in place that will make these people go and pay themselves, I think it'll be much better, because at that point, we will be able to account for every single dollar that get paid to area council instead of anything going into somebody's pocket. And if it's in the bank account, it's in their bank account. They need to create what I call delegation of authority. The money in the bank, who has access? Who can take money out? How can they get money out? When it's time for the area council to get money out, they've got to need to have multiple signatures before the bank can allow anything to come out. That multiple signatures, the final signature should be the chairman himself. If they do some things and put some steps like that, this is going to close their loopholes and allow them to capture and optimize all the funds that they normally would generate. And if they could do that within 1 year, after they reconcile 1 year, they're going to see millions in their bank account. millions, which they can in turn take and invest in developing the markets, the roads, the inner city roads, their water supply, and all the things that they need to do. So, but until they have a standardized program and close all these loopholes from CEOs writing checks or CEOs getting money out or CEOs doing certain things or revenue collectors doing certain things. In Berkama, for example, from what Yankuba said, Zheng, I don't know who Zheng is. Zheng is one of the directors there, employed his own son that goes to collect revenue, right? And, guess what's going to happen? I mean, half of the money is going somewhere else. So in people like that, not just Jen, but people like that in different areas that are doing that, we need to stop people going to collect revenue. We need to put the burden of that on the shopkeepers, the business owners to go pay their bills or you get shut off. That's it. If you do that, no money goes into anybody's hands, and all these collectors can now be redeployed into something else where they don't collect any money. They're not going to like it. A lot of people are going to say, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. When people are corrupt and you come up with great ideas that will stop that corruption and close their loophole, they will be the first ones against it.
They will, yeah.
Yeah, they will be the first
agree.
ones against it. They're going to say it's not going to work. Well, it's going to work. Yeah, it's definitely going to work. But they will against it from day one all the way until they die. They will be against that idea because it closes the loopholes. And my idea is to close all the loopholes so that Gambia is so small. If every dollar or the lesson that Gambia can collect from our revenue, we can be self-sustainable. We don't need to do anything else other than all the things that some of the other ideas that I suggested to do to generate more income, move the minimum wage up, go to a minimum wage standard, and make people's life better. Cost of living will go down. Those are things that I think I'll stop here for a minute and allow you to come in.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, for that. You've already actually hammered the key area in revenue collection. What I wanna ask is that first of all, with this paper system of collecting money, definitely there is a lot of fraud that could happen. Because you gotta go and put stuff on the file, and then now when the audit comes, they have to open up the file, they have to check, they're like things can be missing. First, if things are not digitalized and centralized, accessibility is always an issue. As a person of an IT background, I know, the sharing of files and accessibility is key, especially, giving the right access to the right individual who need to see those information.
Yep.
So it is highly important that, our tax, collectors and our revenue, sections, such as GRA and others, councils, and so having a system in place whereby, people can access the right files, and then they can have, information that are, that are delegated to certain people based on the, management level and so forth. And then we should also have something that is auditable, easy to audit. You have all this with paper trail. Like papers filled. If you don't go to the office, you can't really access this. But with digitalization, like you were saying, digital stamping, you should be able to, have access even from home. Like if you're a manager and then you need to find out, certain, taxes being collected or certain funds, how they utilize or so forth. With digitalization, you can do it remotely. You don't even have to be in the office. So all these things are important when we are collecting taxes. And at the same time, like you said, when you go to door tax collection, that nowadays that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we're in the 21st century.
And then I was in the Gambia 2 years ago, and I had somebody come to my house and say they came to collect my my now bill. Otherwise they will cut it off if I don't pay. Why would you even have to come? You should just cut it off. if I don't pay from where you are. That is more, you have
Yeah,
to, I mean,
yeah,
if I forgot to pay the bills, not like, I couldn't pay it, but
yeah,
if that is the
yeah.
case, cut me off. Then I come and then I come
Then you will go
and then,
back. Yeah,
and then pay and you
yep,
restore it.
yep,
So digital approach of everything make life easier, not only for the consumers, but for even the people who are providing the services.
yep,
So that's why it's highly essential for our our system to be upgraded. This old style of doing things. I'm not saying don't have paper trail of things, but you know, having a system in place where you can digitalize and share, files necessary for others to access is another key thing, to our growth. And then you know, also like revenue collection. Um, what we need to know is like you mentioned, there is somebody that you mentioned who wanted to go and collect by himself, even though if the boss of the company or so forth. Because this is what our people did do. And then they will tell you, this notion that was said when Jawara, it was in the Jawara's time, even Jawara once mentioned that, yes, I you sit down do aka so that was a bad concept because if we either fight for, you know, a fair, a fair pay, a fair pay for our employees and let them stay away from corruptive acts, or we find a way how to how to close the loopholes because once you've opened that loophole for somebody, Ndawolo Alandawolo Mankita or something, they would and they're collecting this money. Guess what? They will take the money and underreport it. And this has been a manner, that is going on. That's why paper trail, digitalization, and electronic signatures are important because either electronic signature or physical signature and digitalizing is important because when people pay their revenues, they need to also be they need to also they need to also have proof that they pay, and then their payment also need to be in the system to show that they pay. So this will help the whole entire collection of revenues so that right taxes are collected and they are put into good use. Now, the challenges here is that, if things are not being digitalized, um, like you said, fraud is really, it opens up for fraud, where it will be difficult for even an auditor to detect because the auditor is not there. You're gonna present what you have for the auditor to actually look into. So if you present 10, 10 homes being paying, their taxes, while 15 home paid, and then their paper trade has never been presented, guess what? The audit would likely not see that. So for everything to be standardized, we need to make sure that both the collectors and the people paying, they all have some kind of payment receipts, either digitally or something that they can sign to
yep,
acknowledge the
yep,
payment. And that way, when you are auditing, the ones that are not presented, then you can ask you know those people's their receipts or so forth, so you can know who paid and who didn't pay. Again, we need to really change a lot of things in the Gambia, but
yep,
our way of doing things is really, really, really affecting the country. It's not that you know we are not collecting right taxes now. I think now since 2016 there has been some adjustments the way taxes are collected, and then there have been some education with this government how important tax collection is. The only issue here, we're not saying the impact of what has been collected. If you say this, people might doubt, some people might doubt it. But if there is an impact, it needs to be reported. The GRA and then the entire executive need to know the tax money payers where are this spent, so that we know, are they spent ahead of time before we actually make the money, or are they spent as we are collecting the money? Because we are seeing a lot of things happening. We've seen that the vehicles were ordered, 100 vehicles that need to be paid. That has to be paid by taxpayers' money because the OIC did not sponsor that. We've seen that the National Assembly, the clothing, and their housing has also, been a factor, where money has been borrowed so that those things could be covered. We've seen our budget, the president's, feeding budget, like unbelievable. That has to be covered. If the money is not there, it has to be, loaned for future generation to pay. Projects. We have seen that Senegambia Bridge, what has happened to Senegambia Bridge, and then the feature of that. We are eating monies that are not already been made. We are spending on things ahead. Instead of making surplus, we are in
that puts us in more debt.
Deficits. So the logic here is that if we have a problem, you don't look at always let's borrow, because those borrowing comes with interest. You look at how to cut costs. You look at how to collect as much as you can and save the that and use that towards those issues you're having. But this government and the GRA and other tax collectors, local area councils, they are all doing the same thing, expecting different results. How can you be doing the same thing since Jammeh's administration, and expecting different results now? But you gotta close the loopholes. It's good that now taxes have been collected, because I've seen that when I last visited the Gambia. Even if you go to KMC and other places, fine, let's digitalize it to even more, make it more controllable. After that, let's make sure that we put it into right use and communicate. Once, like a tax, people's money has been put into something, the citizens or the people benefiting from that, they need to know. They need to know this is their tax money. It should be differentiated from the grants and from other people's money. If China comes and give Gambia money, of course, China would be giving Gambia money because they want something. They're not gonna throw money to anybody. That doesn't happen anywhere in this world. Now, that project needs to be differentiated. And how can that project pay for itself? How is that gonna happen? Do we have to put our tax money there, or that project that they're giving us, to implement, will it be able to take care of itself without having money anywhere? You identify that all this communication needs to happen between the government and then the tax collectors and then the citizens, so they know. If a bridge has been built here, we need to know, is that a taxpayer's money or somebody give us a grant that don't need to be paid? So all that communication sometimes is not there. The politician will come and say, I did this. The politician that is telling you that they did this, they didn't do it. A project came in, or they'll take your tax money and do that. So it's not like a politician get from his pocket or from his connection. No. What they got from their connection and their pocket, what they get from their connection or stuff like that, it goes into their pocket. So they should just say, this comes from this so and so, and I'm here to implement it. That is the role of our leaders and our governments. So instead of taking all the credit that, oh, Barrow did this, he built this road, he did that. No, he implemented the project. The funding comes it came from somewhere. That need to be clarified. Yeah. So I'm gonna stop here and let you come in. But when it comes to revenue collection, we need to be really serious about it from the collectors end to the right use and implementation, and to make sure it's communicated and reported where it has been used. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You have
so,
something to add.
yeah, sometimes Gambia is a sad nation. Real, it's a sad country, very sad country.
It's been sad for a while.
When I look at it, is from an analytical standpoint,
Yeah.
I say is sad. It's really sad when you look at the revenue we can collect from our own country. If we can just get all of our revenue that we collect, we don't need to borrow any money. All right,
I agree with
that's one part. The other part is we're not doing check and balances in some area. I won't say everywhere, but even in the government, if a country cannot afford certain things, why do we do them? For example, if I'm just going to go to a ballpark, if we're collecting a total of $5 billion in a year, just an example, if we're collecting $5 billion in a year, we need to be able to pay all of our employees within that $5 billion, because this is a government that is an expense from an expense standpoint, that have to have expenses to be able to pay people. We cannot spend more than what we don't have. We need to discipline ourselves first from there. So, which means we cannot increase the president's salary. We cannot increase the minister's salary or the National Assembly salary, which will put us outside of our threshold, because that's where we create ourselves a mess. We get into debt, and that's how we go to borrow. That's how we look for grants. They give us money, free money, but we borrow some to be able to pay our own people. In my mind, whether it's a business or a government, in my mind, you cannot spend more than what you can bring in, period. You've got to discipline yourself to get to that level. Whatever it takes, discipline yourself to get to that level first. When we get to that level, then we'll look at optimizing. When we optimize things by doing our check and balances, go to a digital economy, go to a digital world, use 21st century technology, cut out the middleman as well. We need to cut the middleman out. When you see a country like Gambia that is so corrupt, very corrupt country, all right, with a lot of corrupt officials. There are very honest people in there too, but corruption is what's killing us. So we need to talk about the corruption part. We're not worried about the honest ones. The honest ones are honest. God knows they are honest. They're doing the right thing. So there's nothing to be said about that other than thank you for being honest. That's what you're being paid for, right? The ones that are not honest are the ones that we need to hold accountable. And one of the things that I said in my WhatsApp audios when it comes to the economy and all that stuff, I said we've got to cut the middleman out. We've got to close the loopholes. So when you have a corrupt country like Gambia, for example, we have a project that is coming. If I were the president, I would say, and what I would advise the president is, do not take any money. Do not take any money, because every fund, every money that was given to Gambia is not being utilized to the dime, to the butter, to the last butter. Is not being utilized for the intended purpose. If a country gives us a loan for a project to build a road, for example, and the road costs $35 million, okay, or $35 million, for example, I guarantee you that whole $35 million will not be spent on that road. Right. So how do we cut that loophole? Well, if I were the president and if I were to advise the president, this is what I would do. I would say to the president, where are you getting that loan from? If it's China, I want that government, I'm going to negotiate with that government to use their own contractors to come and build a road and hand us the key. We don't want any money. Don't give us any funds. Knowing that every time they give us money, somebody will take something out of it. So don't give us any money. Come and build it. That way we don't lose anything. Even in the process of building that project, if they lose 100 bags of cement, somebody stole it, they stole it from them, not from us. Because all we're going to do is, we're going to wait until you build the whole thing and you said it's ready. We inspect and accept responsibility, collect the keys, right? And we're still going to pay you what the intended, what the agreement was.
Right.
If you lose 100 bags of cement out of there, well, we're not paying that 100 bags. We have given you what the contract said. That's what we're going to pay back. So this will eliminate us from going into more debt, because what the funds are intended for will be there 100%. If we had to build a bridge, if we had to build anything, in my latest and greatest what is it called? Suggestion or proposal for the Jaha Pichah project, not only is going to create employment for people, but it's going to bring the cost of living down for us. But I also propose that we do not take a dime. We do not take a dime from any country.
Right.
We want them to sponsor the whole thing, build the whole infrastructure.
So in other words, you just don't want our people to even touch.
Don't take the money, because if you that's my way of taking cash out of people's hands. I keep saying this: take cash out of people's hands, because if you don't want me to touch, take a dime out of this, well, don't let me have it. Don't let me access it. Don't let it come through me. Cut that middleman out. Deal with the contractor directly. Bill it. Hand us the keys.
But the only thing is, it might be expensive.
Well, no, it's all part of the contract agreement.
It might be expensive for somebody in China or in somebody in China or in Canada to bring a contractor to bring all his people and then work on a project. Because some of these people are paid in dollars or in different currency.
Well, that's where you get into that contract negotiation. You're going to look at all of that. They're going to say, this is how much it's going to cost you to build it. So if they say it's going to cost, for example, if they tell me a project is going to cost $50,000 to build it, if they build it, all right? Or they give us a loan for $60,000 to build it. I'm going to say, keep that 60,000. I want you to build it with that 50,000. Because even if it's cheaper, even if it's cheaper, let's say it's going to cost us 40,000. So $10,000 less, or let's talk millions, $10 million less. If that's what's going to cost us if they just give us a loan. Our problem is when we take that 10 million. So let's say 40 million. If the contractor is going to build it, it will cost us 50 million. But if they can give us a loan, we want 40 million to build it ourselves. Well, when that 40 million comes, the problem is, number one, not all of those funds will go into that project. Number two, we're going to go with a cheaper quality and build that there. So it's not going to last. Number three, it will not get done on time. We know that. You take an African contractor and give it to them, nothing against African, but we've seen what we've seen and we learn from our mistakes. We've got to learn from our mistakes and move on. So something of that magnitude, something that you want to last for a long time, that we can pass to generations, you want the most qualified person to come build it for you. Not a cheap contractor that you're going to pay 20 million to do it, and then you guys split the other 20 million. So that's what we get. That's what we've been getting. So we've been getting the short end of the stick. Instead of getting the short end of the stick, let the contractor come and build. Let's talk about a contract negotiation. That's where you negotiate. And in fact, in some countries, on some of these governments that you're getting loans from, there is some forgiveness. They will forgive you some. They may say, well, you know what? Every year we give you 20 million in grants. So how about we take that 20 million and we're going to add 30 million to and build that thing for you, right? And do that. You can negotiate and get something, a great deal out of it. Get a very a permanent structure, something that's going to last for years. Better than hand us the money before the project even starts. Some of that money is gone. At least quarter of that money is gone.
Yeah, but the only thing is not every project it could be done or could be taken care of the outside forces. So what is another physical discipline that can be, implemented in the civil service area to make sure, like you said, take cash out of people's hand.
Yeah, yeah,
That is number one of the key things. But we
yeah,
have to have the technology at that. The
yeah,
problem
yeah.
is,
Well,
look at even the stabilization of the internet in the Gambia. You
yeah.
cannot even have a proper conversation. If you have a business in the Gambia, sometimes
Hmm.
it's difficult to even have a proper communication with
Yep,
people to do that business.
yep.
You understand? Much more than having to even have a the correct processes in place to be able to have cash available. I mean, cash off hand transaction available at all time. How many
Yep. You know
times
what?
the
You
system
know what?
goes down? How many
Yep,
times you go to a bank in the
yep.
Gambia, the
That,
system goes down? They
yeah.
say, "Oh, our system is down." Or where you go to, even in immigration or any other entity, then they will tell you, "Oh, the computer mantra will can sign. The system will be down, the internet will be down, the power will be down, everything is down, down, down. Nothing is up at
Yep.
all
So,
time."
so with
So,
that,
so because of that, of course, manual transaction will be rampant. That we cannot stop that because no, otherwise they won't even work. So I think our biggest problem challenges right now, technology is one, stabilization, and then also monopoly of technology in the country, how we can, how we can make affordable internet services in the country. This
well,
is the key.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Secondly, and we have to also affordable electricity and power supply because these are some of the things that is holding even the work processes, how fast we get to task and complete them, productivity, how important it is that we get effective in what we are doing as companies, individual, as a government. Even if you go to Barrow's office, they will tell you computer is not working. Stuff are not working there. One time he's speaking, oh, like tatal, a tatal. You can even say ale a tatal. You know, the problem we have is bigger than even what we're talking about here, to tell you the truth. So digitalization is a good thing to happen, but it's gonna be it's still because of these hurdles. Back it through we are able to effectively do paperless transactions and then trying to avoid some of these revenue issues like like having for people to commit fraud and so forth. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. It is all about building the infrastructure for the
Yes.
change that you want. If
Yes,
you want certain change, like we've talked about before, building the infrastructure is important.
but
And
this is what this government is incapable of at this point.
well, they need to remove the people that don't have that mindset and put the right people in there that can move us
Okay, how
forward.
tell me one area that this government has achieved. At least if you achieve water problem, you achieve, electricity problem, you achieve internet problem. Since 2016, tell
Yep,
me one
yep,
area that they have conquered and Gambian people are saying, this area is done. Let's move
yep,
to the other area.
yep.
There's no
I, I,
single,
I,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I can't say anything. I don't know. I can't tell because in my mind, I'm looking at the amount of money that was pumped into Gambia from 2016 election up to now. What could that do for us? That amount of money could give us a good power plant to get electricity supply. That amount of money could give Gamcell the funds they need to bring up their technology to 21st century and be the best in West Africa,
Yeah.
like we used to be. And which makes all of our government institutions use Gamcell as their internet for their internet. If Gamcell functions in our country, QCell and Africell and all of them will not be where they are now.
Let me tell
And
you.
Gamcell, because it's a government's institution, it'll be an institution for the people, just like that's what the government is there for, to make people's lives better. So Gamcell and Gamcell would have regulated what QCell and AfriCell does, because they cannot overcharge. Because if they overcharge, everybody's going to Gamcell, because Gamcell will be so reliable and so dependable that everybody will go there. So they will be forced to match Gamcell if they want to have service. So that's one. The same thing with water supply. We should have, from 2016 to now, the money that was pumped into Gambia, we could have, our water supply would have been, should be a thing of a past. Every compound, every household should be getting there. And now it needs to be reformed so that they go digital also, so that they can capture every single revenue that they can get, and not allow third-party companies sell their poles and hoses and all of that stuff. Network should be able to warehouse those, keep track of their inventory, reconcile their inventory, so that they have enough all the time to be able to track it, to make sure that any compound, any household that applies, or anybody that's building and applies for pipes and water connection, they have all the supplies with them. Anybody that applies for electricity, they have all the supplies available, including meters right away.
You know what is so funny? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that is what's going to make NOAC also stand on their own and be independent and be able to supply the demand. And if they can supply the demand, they will generate to what they need to generate. And again, remember, keep cash out of people's hands. We're going to go through that by going digital. And going digital, make sure all payments are done in the bank account. It's not into somebody's account. Bank accounts, or they have a place in their own office. Give people the option that don't live in the that don't live near any bank to be able to. In fact, they don't have to use one bank. They can spread it out based on how many banks are out there that are spread in the country. People can pay their bills in any bank, pretty much. They can do that and be able to reconcile those funds. Keep cash out of people's hands. If they do that, then we will be able to start to see what Gambia can do for itself. These are some of the things, but restructuring is a must. We need a lot of restructuring. We need a lot of reforms that need to happen. And unfortunately, from 2016 to now, I think for us, even though President Barrow has made some improvements on the road side of it, those are things that really I won't, we can give him credit for that. Those get done, but I guarantee you some of them are not to the quality that they were supposed to be. They are not going to be very durable. Some of the roads that they build up in the country may not be very durable, because the money that was intended for it was partially taken out to some other people's pockets. So the roads did not get what they deserve, what they need to be. So there's a lot of things. The corruption is killing us. Corruption is the big problem. Is anybody you talk to in any Gambian you talk to, when you tell them what is the biggest problem for Gambia, they will say corruption.
Right.
So that's the number one thing we need to fight.
I totally agree with your point when it comes to corruption and when it comes to digitalize everything. Yeah. It's just that, we have to be realistic here. Like I am saying, Gambia, we need to start somewhere and master that. You move on. You cannot be everywhere trying to make a headway. First of all, this government, all what we have seen so far, and and then the ministers and the parliamentarians are also culpable to this. All we have seen is higher pay. They're fighting for. Okay, they are fighting for their pocket to get higher salary and higher allowances. And then higher clothing, higher mortgage, to pay their own homes, instead of average citizens' life to be better. Because if average citizen can afford a bag of rice, a hungry man is an angry man. If they can afford a bag of rice and their stomach is full going to bed, guess what happened? That comes with a lot of plus. They will have the energy to work the next day. They will not be angry. They will be more willing to work harder. And then they'll be healthier. Okay? So, but if people are struggling to even make a basic, ends, so their own well-being, they can't even eat properly, they're not sleeping properly, what do you expect? the productivity is going to be very low. Point down. And now the next thing is you don't have anything working for the people. You're talking about roads. You're talking about building schools and all of that. But what more important it is to have a stable electricity and water. Those are basic needs in life.
Yep.
For even people to be able to do something creative. Because you have these devices, you have people paying their bills. Now it never came and say people are not paying, we are cutting them. Instead,
And now it is in big
people are
trouble.
even begging. People are even begging to have more electricity because they have the money to pay.
Yeah,
And
but they
you
can't
cannot
afford. They
provide
can't accommodate the demand. Yeah,
the
yeah,
demand.
yeah.
What
And
kind
now
of
it is in debt with the Senegal company. I heard that they owe
Senegal
them
company?
millions.
And I
Yeah,
heard that
yeah,
they're gonna get screwed
yeah.
at some point. So this is all top down.
That means it's not working. The system we have is not working.
Not
So we need
working.
to change it.
But how since 2016, I cannot talk about Drammeh's era because that is
Correct.
the dictatorship era. You
Yep.
know, but now that we say we have responsible people in the office, people who were like us in the struggle, trying to bring change, and yet still they're singing the same song. What sense
Well,
does that
that,
make?
that means they are irresponsible, not responsible. They're irresponsible.
You know, what sense does that make to anybody to understand? So this is what I'm saying. So they fail us there. Now,
Yep.
technology-wise, this skill cell, officer, I don't understand too much about it. But listen, I mean, like the GSM company, the technology, the internet, connectivity need to be better for Gambians. I'm telling you, a basic communication is sometimes difficult to have it with some people, much more than having them to use to be able to consume internet services to do their work. Because most work now, we're talking about electronic works. We're talking about doing things in bank transfer, online banking. We're talking about digitalization, transfer of money instead of holding cash that could create fraud and also for safety reason. All of that could be minimized. Gambian people could need to start using ATM, digital purchasing, and all of those things to minimize cash transaction, which will cause more, which is subjected to fraud and all of that. But we are not even near close to that. You go to Rwanda and other third world countries, people are purchasing things with devices. They are making transactions, easy. You go back to a bank statement, you know what you spent. Any company could do that, and then you can hold your, people accountable. But we
Yeah.
are having
So
all those issues, and that's why we are not effective in our revenue collection. If you look at GRA, still they're using the old systems there. They say that they're thinking about this digital.
despite they're doing well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are doing well because they have more than even reported.
Yeah.
I believe that they do have even what they reported. But the way they report it or the way they collect it is not effective. That's why they come thinking about introducing this digital stamp in collecting revenues and so forth, which, is a way to go. But again, like I said, the infrastructure is not in the Gambia. We need to, first of all, build the infrastructure. We take care of our electricity and water systems and internet. Then the devices could be, company could buy devices to do all of this to make the transactions, smoother. Because we are in 21st century, we need to be upgraded to work effectively and compete with other companies and compete with other nations.
Yeah.
Gambia is
So
just crawling because of lack of vision, lack of leadership, lack of accountability, because of corruption, because of the infighting on these political parties, ecosystem. Our people need to really need to go back to the drawing board and started, holding each other accountable, become patriotic citizens, started to be, empower youths and our women, and then we need to do things, in a proper way, Sam. If we really
well, yeah.
we
Yeah. So
really
so
want to collect
Yeah.
our revenues and implement them in the right way to develop our nation.
Yeah, and the solution to that, my final word is the solution to that is really change the leadership, because leadership is there to move the country forward. If you elect the leadership and you put in place, the first 5 years, you have not seen yourself moving in the right directions, especially for our key performance indicators, KPIs. Okay, if you don't see those, you need to deny that leadership your votes and give it to somebody else to come and try. Let somebody comes that you have confidence in to come and do. Give them that first 5 years. If they don't do the same thing, you vote, give it to somebody else. You will be lucky to have the right person at that point. Not only that, that is going to send a strong message to all political candidates, presidential candidates, that if you go into this and you win and you don't do anything in your first 5 years, you'll be out. Because Gambians are tired. They can't wait anymore. They are way behind time. And
they're
people,
tired, but they're tired. They are not, but they are not acting. You know,
they're wasting people's time, wasting our money.
They are
you
tired,
see,
but they are not acting.
President Jawara's time, Gamtel was one of the best in the South African region. What happened to Gamtel? Now I heard that they're going to divest Gamcell out of Gamtel. I mean, all of these are, taking the wrong steps and heading in the wrong direction. We need someone that is going to flip the page and take charge. But you know what? I would say this, it can only be done by the president. The ministers, anybody else, they all report to the president. All right? And in anyone, you and I are talking about this. If today we go to Gambia, we want to make change, guess what? They will fight us and get us out. So that's why you only need the one person that's going to put his foot down and say, this is what's going to happen. I am going to supervise it. I am going to follow through to make sure it happens, to make sure it gets done the same day that I want it done. That is the only person that nobody can put in any trouble and fire him. Only the electors can do that.
But if you and I go and then try to do anything, they will get rid of us.
Oh, they will get rid of us within a couple of weeks.
Because
people that are corrupt and spending that money, enjoying that money with their families, building mansions, building story buildings, driving nice cars, they don't want to get out of that. They know that they cannot afford that with their salary. They're getting money from somewhere else. And if you go to cut that money from them, you're going to be in big fight. It's going to be a big fight. They will fight you. It'll be worth. Yeah. And any idea you come and put on the table for any minister to stop corruption, they're going to say it's not going to work. Or their people will say, if the minister agrees with it and present it to his people,
they will say
the corrupt officials in that ministry are going to say this is not going to work, because they know it will close their loophole for stealing. So that's the problem. That's why I said the president is the only one that can stop the problem. So Gambia
but if the president himself, what else did he also gonna go out along with it?
Well, if the president doesn't do it, the people that elect the president have the power to fire the president by giving their votes to somebody else.
And then get him out of there. Election time comes, the president go and shower everybody gifts, and then
they should take the gifts and teach them a lesson. I'll take everything that you give me, but guess what? I am not going to vote for you. I'll vote for somebody and let the president regret. Any president, I'm just talking, any president that is that corrupt, people need to teach them a lesson.
Because all the people that has criticized the president end up joining them. We've seen them recently, a lot of youths who are, the doctors, the Gambia pens and pencils, all of them end up joining them, those who have been criticizing.
Because that's the place, that's the nightclub, that's the place of the party, that's where people are going to party, because you know what? No one is being held accountable. We've lost millions and millions and millions, according to our report, and not a single person that stole those millions is being held accountable, with the exception of Banja or Bunja or whoever that person is that was captured on video for a corruption or bribery scandal. That's the least of our worries. I'll put it that way, compared to millions that have been taken from different institutions, different government departments. And still, not a single person has been held accountable for that. So that is our problem. That is our problem. So my final word is, Gambian people, our eyes has been open from 2016. If we were sleeping, or for those of us that were sleeping, those Gambians that were sleeping, 2016 opened their eyes. Now that your eyes are open, don't let your eyes close again. Follow through. Let's do the right thing and get the right person in our presidency to be able to take action against anybody that wants to destroy Gambia and get them out before they destroy Gambia. Otherwise, we will continue to lose millions and millions and millions while the top officials enjoy, continue to increase their salaries and allowances. I even spoke about allowances that need to be cut. I spoke about it, and I saw that King FM radio station announced it on the radio that I recommended all those, I will call them stupid allowances, to be gone. You're giving a government official vehicle with fuel, all right, but you're still collecting vehicle allowance.
Yeah.
What in the world is that? I mean, why would you get vehicle? And you are hired to do a job. The judges and the MPs, the ministers, that those who are getting professional allowance and they're getting responsibility allowance, then they don't hire you to take that responsibility and say, this is your salary for this responsibility. Yes, they hired you for that. That's what the job description says. You're hired to do this job, and that's your responsibility. That's why you're getting paid. Why would you get another responsibility allowance? For what? You're just wasting taxpayers' money, the poor people's money.
It doesn't add up. It
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
All of those nonsense need to be cut out. People cannot be in the government and get responsibility allowance, professional allowance, all right? Then vehicle allowance while you're driving the government vehicle with government fuel. I mean, this is daylight robbery of the Gambian people.
That's like double benefits.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So all of those need to be cut. But anyway, we can
great
only say so much.
Really, this is I hope this get to our leaders and those who are watching as well, to sensitize folks about the importance of revenue collection, because that's what we're talking about here, and how to make it like digital and paperless. Because what happened is if things are not been transparent, anything can happen. Fraud can happen, and then like ineffective ineffective collection can also happen. So, but once everything is digitalized and centralized, with the fact that we're gonna have available internet access, so people can remotely access things and audits and so forth, that that would help the system better. Digitalizing things, transactions, trades, and anything that has to do with revenue collection. So that's what we are talking here, and I hope our discussion here, we are not a subject and subject matter experts in this thing, but based on our personal research, our knowledge around the whole tax and tax collection, we were able to at least give you something that from this discussion, and then you can give your comments and feedback at the comment section. And again, share this with your networks, and let the government officials understand they need to fix something. I mean, since 2016, nothing has been fixed. That we say we are done with that. No, water issue. No, food food insecurity. No, con Edison electric issue. When it comes to the GMS company, there's no stable GSM in Gambia. And how do we expect to be productive? How do you expect to effectively conduct businesses and compete with other companies and other nations? It's nearly impossible. So all we hear from our leaders is they want more salary, more allowances, useless allowances, more traveling, and more clothing, and more driving expensive cars. It's a sad nation. Imagine we just came from 2016 dictatorship. We say enough is enough. we've done everything. We want reform. Now, our leaders that we trusted and put them there, they're doing opposite. So let's open our eyes, like Sam said, and let's do the right thing and let's hold them accountable. Sam,
Yep,
thank you so
absolutely,
much for your time.
absolutely. Yep, thank you. And I hope, like you said, the leaders listen to this and Gambian people listen to this, even if the leaders don't want to listen to it, because anyone that is corrupt is not going to want to listen to this. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. So Gambian people need to hear this. When you go to the election polls, make your change there. That's where you make the change with your vote so that we can move Gambia forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yep.
much. We
Yep.
catch you next week. Take care. Good
Yep.
conversation. Take care.
Sure.
All right.